The Isle of Arran is littered with caves. Today we're going to go to one of the most famous ones. Welcome to Exploring Scotland's History. The King's Cave walk will take a couple of hours to complete. It's classed as moderately challenging, probably due to the unsurfaced pass and the odd steep section. We have brought you along for the walk though, as so high up, walking along the coast, the views are truly spectacular. This one isn't the King's Cave, but one where folk have put in their own installations. Stone stacking is both loved and loathed. Loved mainly nowadays as it's supposed to have mindfulness benefits. Loathed mainly because it can mess with the ecosystem, encourage erosion and send somebody off in the wrong path. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. I'm sure most of you have heard of the story of Robert the Bruce hiding out in the cave and the valour of the little spider heading up and down the wall and the try and succeed. This cave we're going up to now is known as King's Cave, and allegedly this is where Robert the Bruce had the encounter with the spider. Though not necessarily, there could be a few of them. So here we are at the King's Cave itself, and if I turn round, there's a rather funky tunnel leads you down to the sea. We'll go in and have a look around. It's a cave with a commanding view, no surprise there. There is a lot of graffiti. A lot of it quite ancient, as you can see. And I think there's older than that if we can find it. Fight with the torch quite yet, because it is actually a whole lot clearer to look at these inscriptions through the phone. That JR wasn't me, by the way. Also have crosses. There appears to be a deer. Definitely some really quite old script here. There's 1826, so a whole lot more modern than the one at the door. There's JR again. Obviously, it was the efforts of that little spider that is said that the inspiration for the Bruce to come back to Scotland and fight for his kingship, which he obviously got after the Battle of Bannockburn. But was this the cave? There was a Bruce's cave near Lockerbie, and also a cave associated with the Bruce in Balquidder. This cave didn't seem to appear until Sir Walter Scott did. Walter Scott wrote in 1828 that he believed the Bruce travelled through here on his way to Kintyre. He would have been heading to Dunaverty Castle. I'll put a link at the end to Dunaverty. We visited the headland. To be fair, before Walter Scott decided that the Bruce had stayed here, this wasn't even called King's Cave. Before Scott wrote about it, it was called Fingal's Cave. To be fair, there's two Bruce's caves on Rathlin Island off the coast of Ireland. And it is a known fact that the Bruce wintered over on Ireland with his men in 1306. So the choice is yours to decide, was it here? Was it Rathlin? Or was it Balquidder or somewhere else? Like all caves, there's a bit more folklore attached. Like nearly all caves in Scotland, the folklore involves pipers and dogs. So Mackenzie wrote in 1914 the story of the piper that entered this cave here, who apparently was heading to Kintyre, which is over there, I don't know. He headed into that cave with his dog and he never returned. The dog, however, eventually did return hairless. Now, that's identical to a story that I told when I was over in Kintyre with one of the other caves, Columbus Cave, back and forward. I don't know whether it's the same piper or not, but there must be a lot of bald dogs going around. Don't you be going into those caves, you'll end up bald. You will? Aye. There are a lot of caves around the Isle of Arran coastline. And it's not only preaching, teaching and hiding of kings that they were used for. During the clearances, the Hamiltons pushed people from the middle of the island out towards the coasts, and many poor souls did end up living in these caves. They're beautifully cool on a hot day like today, but I don't think I would fancy living here in the winter. These caves are deep, they're wide, and you can hide a lot of stuff in them. Smuggling became rife. Obviously, the issue with smuggling is you haven't paid excise duty, and as the government kept on upping the excise duty, hence the illicit stills kept on cropping up. As if folk needed any encouragement to smuggle, they actually had an ally in one of the excise men. Captain James Fullerton was given command of an excise cutter called the Wreckham, and he sailed in and around the coast of Arran looking for smugglers. The thing was, he knew most of the chaps that were doing the smuggling around the Kilmorey coast and Whiting Bay area. So there are local tales that he certainly turned a blind eye, maybe not to all of it, but a fair amount of it, and I'm sure he was rewarded richly in whisky, the water of life. Smuggling came to a rather abrupt end in 1817 down the coast at Slidery. There had been excise men had chased smugglers onto land and had managed to catch up with them and take their truck off them. The locals decided they wanted their whisky back and tackled the excise men. By the end of the fracas, 2 men, a woman, were killed and 2 children were injured. It seemed to take the shine off the smuggling business in Arran, and to be fair, the excise dropped after that, which meant that small stills, illicit or not, weren't really going to make enough money to make it viable. that was a delve into the caves of Arran. If you are coming to the King's Cave in particular, I would give yourself a couple of hours. There's a whole lot more caves than the King's one to explore, and it really is quite a nice walk. So until next time, thank you for watching Exploring Scotland's History.